Okay.
What are you doing?
I am creating a platform. Eric Coleman stared out at the Pacific Ocean, desperate for any light. Good morning, writers, readers, and viewers. My name is Thomas A. Fowler, integrated producer at an ad agency here in Denver by day, writer of commercial mainstream and science fiction by night. Always trying to instill hope and making sure that I'm bringing you all the marketing and writing advice you need. Now, today we're going to level 3, creating a platform. Last month on level 1, we looked at establishing a brand. Now this is all going to tie in directly because in establishing your brand, we looked at 4 major topics. First, we asked 4 questions that you, the author, have to be able to answer for readers, agents, editors, publishers, whoever you're aiming for, may need to know, so that way you can make sure that your brand is established and that can be answered. Second thing is we looked at 5 elements to establish a good brand. What does it take to actually create a strong, established brand that people can recognize and know? Third thing was brand messaging. How are you actually going to create messages that reach out to your audience, whether your audience be an agent you're trying to reach or an editor that you're trying to reach, or if you're self-publishing and creating a bunch of readers yourself. Finally, we looked at differentiating your brand. How do you separate yourself from the pack in order to reach the top of the pile at an agency that you may be inquiring at, or how do you actually find the readers that are going to be interested in picking up your book as opposed to going for YA when you're trying to write adult romance? So from the 4 subtopics we explored when we established your brand, we are now going to actually create a platform that is going to allow you to get your work moved out. And this is going to be, whether it's through blog posts or your actual writing, poetry, short stories, doesn't matter. This is going to be the tools that you're going to need in order to push your work out into the world and make sure that it's seen and then finally published. First up, we have your brand vision. It's the singular drive that pushes your work. And this is so important because if you can convey why you're doing this, why you need to write, and what inspired you to write, that's going to be a brand vision that people can jump on board with. Now, my brand vision has changed. Initially, I just loved writing and I loved creating good work. But that translated, and now, for me, my brand vision is supporting my family through writing. And this is through a multitude of pieces. One, doing this work here by creating blogs and creating these videos. And it's also doing advertising copywriting, which I'm trying to break into currently. And finally, it's also my creative writing itself. It's all moving forward, and that's because of my brand vision, and it's so I can support my family through writing. And by doing so, I can accomplish my main dream. And by doing so, I can convey that dream and that vision to my daughter, so that way she'll know it's possible. If you have a passion and you find a way to monetize what you love, it's all going to come together. And I hope that this continues to be a success, so that way I can be that example to my daughter as she continues to grow older. Granted, right now she's 7 months, so it's not like she's really going to pick it all up, but it's all with the grander vision. And that brand vision is so essential in creating the brand and your platform of work. Next up, we're going to look at your brand story. What is the story of your brand? What brought you here? What steps in your life made you want to become a writer? And why is it so essential that you're willing to make the sacrifices of working an extra job while you're writing simultaneously? Why is your story unique and such a great platform to help push your writing out there? What needs are you going to fulfill? What vacancy is there in your readers and in people's lives that you're going to fulfill by giving them your writing? So let's go back to the tagline. Now, taglines are how people are going to remember you, the author. Now, not many authors actually have a defined tagline that you're going to be able to see very clearly. But if you have it established and you have it in your mind, then you can keep that in the back burner at all times in everything that you write. It needs to be simple and easy to remember. Mine is instill hope. It's what I do for everything, and I know I've talked about it before, but that's the key about establishing a brand and creating a platform. It's repeating these steps. It's creating content that is consistent and in some ways repetitive, some ways fresh and new. And for me, it's just instilling hope. Everything I do is instilling hope. All the time, every day. Dude, that's a stupid tagline. Well, what tagline did you have in mind? I'm Lazy Tom. I write cool shit, and I'm awesome. You think agents and readers are going to identify with that? Oh, well, why don't you just go ahead and identify with this, huh? Have some self-respect. So now we're going to look at core identity concepts. Now what you probably just heard was marketing buzzword, marketing buzzword, marketing buzzword. What it means is where readers are actually going to find your work. Is it going to be e-reader and digital exclusive? Is it going to be via an interactive application like the Reading Rainbow app that includes much more than just simple reading exercises? Or is it going to be, if it's a children's book, are you more of a traditionalist and you're going to want the traditional board books? And within that, how are you going to market your work? Is it going to be social media, book trailers? The list could go on, of course. It's really going to boil down to your budget and capacity. And this is where we're going to look at a really big question of whether you should self-publish or you should seek representation in traditional publication. This is a huge battle right now because there's a lot of people that are getting very skeptical and critical of self-publishing, because for every great book there's typically about 25 to 50 mediocre ones and another 75 to 100 horrible books that people have not taken the time to proofread, making sure that they have consistent voice. There's a slew of problems with self-publishing, and as a result it can tarnish. However, self-publishing is also creating remarkable platforms for people to get discovered. And this can go back to budget and capacity. Now, self-publishing, it's all on you. So do you have the capacity to publish that on your own, take the time to format the e-reading pieces for Nook, for iPad, for the Amazon Kindle? There's a lot of different technicalities that gets a lot bigger in terms of how much time and effort it takes than you actually think. It's not just creating an interactive PDF, throwing it up there and calling it good. The counterpoint is representation and going for actual publication with a traditional firm. Now, with it, you're going to get some great marketing pieces. However, it's starting to land much more on the author now. However, it's really hard to beat established places like Simon & Schuster, Penguin, Random House, Tor, etc. You look at Scribner Publishing. That was founded in 1846. And they're at the point that they have established so many incredible authors that they have their platform already built. And if you are brought into Scribner Books and their publishing house, then you're good. But the amount of effort it's going to take to get into a place like that is remarkably difficult, and it's going to require contacts, networking, and years of effort most likely. And yes, I did say years. Then you can look at the nonprofit Ugly Duckling Press. They focus on developing 4 things: new poetry, translation, lost works, and books by artists. Now, one of 2 things just happened when I listed off those 4 things. You either said, not for me, don't care, or you said, oh my god, I need to go on Twitter right now and find them, go to their website and learn. And that's because they've defined exactly what they're doing. They're not going to look for real big fiction. What they're looking for are those lost works and poetry, books by artists. They're looking for that excessive embrace of artistic integrity. And if that's your thing, fantastic. I hope you find them. I hope they publish your book, and I hope you're on shelves in the next year or 2. But if you're writing science fiction and it's not a lost work, there's no point in going after them unless they end up changing their motto or want to explore new territory. That's why you have to make sure that you create the proper platform to find your work. Developing a platform, you also need to make sure that you have internet presence. Plain and simple, in this day and age, agents and editors and publishers are looking for internet presence, and simultaneously readers. They need to know where they're going to find your work. And guess where they're going to find it? It's on the web. Now, what you need to define is how you're going to create that platform. Is your platform going to be conducive to social networking, or is it a really cool interactive website? Are you going to create a large platform, or are you going to create a really specified focus? We already talked a little bit about this in determining what you'll write, as well as establishing your brand. But again, there's a reason I keep talking about it. It's because these are the fundamentals. These are the important things that need to be repeated time and time again until it is drilled in your brain and you are repeating it as you whisper in your sleep, as you have dreams about creating an amazing platform that's going to find your writing. Now I want to take a second to talk about web stickiness. Now, have you ever gone on a website where you click on just one link that intrigues you and you think it's cool, and you read through and suddenly you see another link over on the side? So you click on that one, and then you click on another thing, then you click on a video, then you click on a slideshow, then you click on a blog post that leads you back to the website, that leads you to another video, and suddenly you've spent an hour on this website. That's stickiness. That's where you're creating a multitude of different pieces of content and different elements to your site or your blog, and that way people find themselves getting stuck in there. And it's not forcing them to do it, it's just that you're creating that kind of interaction, that experience, where people just continue to want to explore and find out more, because the more they look into it, the more they want to know. That's web stickiness, and just something I wanted to touch on real quickly, because if you can create a really great platform with social networking, blogs, videos, websites, actual writing, and Amazon leading to social networking, etc., your Amazon author page, it can all create a really cool web stickiness that will allow people to really get to know you and also find you in a multitude of formats and realize just how legitimate you are and how dedicated you are to the craft. So that's level 3, and I hope it really helps you to connect with whoever you're aiming to reach, whether it's an agent that you're trying to gain representation from, or it's readers that you're hoping will like your work, find it, and stick with you throughout your career. That's what creating a platform is. And you may need to create multiple platforms, depending on where you're at in your career and depending on what you want to do. And as a result, it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of work. But if you take it step by step and keep following me on my blog, as well as keep the conversation going on Twitter at Thomas A. Fowler with the hashtag Writers Conquest, I'm going to continue to help you by giving you tools and steps and exercises. So I hope you keep sticking around. As always, kick some ass, be proud of what you do.